Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 6 to 10 of chapter 3. Karmendriyani sanyamya,
Karmendriyani sanyamya,
ya aste manasa smaran,
ya aste manasa smaran,
indriyartan vimudhatma,
indriyartan vimudhatma,
mithyachara sa uchyate,
mithyachara sa uchyate,
yastvindriyani manasa,
yastvindriyani manasa,
niyamyarabhaterjuna,
niyamyarabhaterjuna,
karmendriyai karmayogam,
Karmendriyai karmayogam,
asakta savishishyate,
asakta savishishyate,
niyatam kuru karmatvam,
niyatam kuru karmatvam,
karmajyayo hyakarmanaha,
karmajyayo hyakarmanaha,
sharirayatra pichate,
sharirayatra pichate,
na prasidhyeda karmanaha,
na prasidhyeda karmanaha,
yajñarthat karmanonyatra,
yajñartat karmanonyatra,
lokoyam karma bandhanaha,
lokoyam karma bandhanaha,
tadartham karma kaunteya,
tadartham karma kaunteya,
mukta sangha samachara,
mukta sangha samachara,
saha yajñah प्रजा सृष्ट्वा
सह यज्ञा प्रजा सृष्ट्वा
पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः
पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः
अनेन प्रसविष्यद्वम्
अनेन प्रसविष्यद्वम्
येषवोऽस्त्विष्टकामधुक्
येषवोऽस्त्विष्टकामधुक्
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So we have been seeing the deeper messages from verse number 9, wherein first of all he gives a principle. He says, Yajñārtāt karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha, which means the entire world is caught up in this bondage of action, except those actions that are done for the sake of yajna. Lord Krishna was called the Jagat Guru. Jagat means the whole world. Why was he called the Jagat Guru? There are many reasons, but one reason is because he dealt with the principles which govern the entire world. See, generally, a normal person is concerned about himself or herself. Maximum you can reach up to is a group of people whom you're close to. When I say reach up to, I'm not talking of I'm not talking of the action, I'm talking of the identification. A few select people whom you're close with. Your identification stops there. But a master is one who has expanded his identification with the entire world. Krishna being an avatar, which means a direct manifestation of the infinite, it was inbuilt in him. Right from birth, he identified with the whole world. His circle of identification was very large. Of course, you should differentiate between identification and duties. Duties you may have more towards a few people, depending upon your roles. But why should your identification be restricted? So, to the extent your consciousness is expanded, to that extent you can identify with people. When your consciousness is very restricted, then you will only identify with yourself. As your consciousness starts expanding, your identification and love will reach out to a few more people. Whereas you keep doing your sadhana and your consciousness expands more and more, now your identification will start automatically reaching out to more people. And when you identify with the infinite, that is when your consciousness expands to the infinite level, then your identification is with the whole world, because that infinite reality is all pervading, present everywhere, present in everyone, present in everything. So Lord Krishna, from that state, he is making the statement where he says, this entire world is bound by actions, is caught up in karma bandhanaha. And he also gives away. He says, except those actions which are done for the sake of yajna. Yajnarthat karmanaha. So this is one easy way of finding out how spiritually evolved you are. Most people think the more knowledgeable you are, the more spiritually evolved you are. That's not true. It is your identification and love that determines your spiritual state, the spiritual level. The great yogis, the great siddhas, what did they do? They just identified with anyone who came to them, or whether they come to them or not, it doesn't matter. But they just identified and kept on giving unconditional love. They kept radiating unconditional love. That is why they are called yogis or siddhas. So the spiritual level is never measured merely by knowledge. Knowledge you can get from books. Knowledge means panditvam, that is becoming a pandit, a scholar. Incidentally, some masters had the scholarly mastery, that is, they had knowledge, but that is not the sole criteria. They were also great yogis. That is where the confusion started coming. Actually, people have very strange concepts. They think a yogi means he should have supernatural powers, siddhis. Some masters along the way, they exhibited a few siddhis, but that is not the criteria. The primary criteria is not all this. That is why in the Puranas, there are various incidents which have been given. If you read them superficially, you will only get confused because they will look like contradictory statements. If you take the demons, the asuras and many rakshasas, they also had siddhis, the supernatural powers. That itself shows that is not the criteria for spiritual development. Now, similarly, there is one particular incident where Indra is fighting with an asura, and in the battlefield, that demon speaks philosophy. He talks about how transient this physical body is and how the soul is eternal. For one moment, Indra gets disturbed. He says, what is this? In the battlefield, you're talking this philosophy, and I don't even feel like fighting after that. So all that knowledge was there. Still, he was an asura. Why? If you take Ravana, is a classic example. Ravana had knowledge, tremendous knowledge. He had a lot of powers. He had done a lot of tapas and gained many powers. Still, he was not placed at a high pedestal with respect to spiritual growth. Why? Because he didn't have love. He didn't have that identification. His only identification was with himself, his ego. So anybody who came and catered to his ego, he will immediately be kind to them. That's why he drove away Vibhishana, who was his youngest brother. Vibhishana was very dharmic, righteous. So he, out of love towards his elder brother, he said, "Brother, what you're doing is wrong. It's wrong to kidnap Sita and keep her here. She is Lord Rama's wife. It's a wrong action. It will give you problems. It will cause your downfall because you don't know the greatness of Lord Rama. He is a divine person. Karmically, what you're doing can destroy you. You're creating a lot of bad karmas." Now, when Vibhishana gave him that advice, now Ravana got angry. He sent him away. He insulted him and threw him out. In spite of having the knowledge of the Vedas, he had mastered many arts also. In spite of having all that, it was of no use in the sense, spiritually. All these were used only to boost his ego, self-centeredness. So the primary criteria for spiritual growth is what is your level of identification. So at the lowest level, you will be very highly self-centered. As your self-centeredness decreases, you are moving up in the spiritual ladder. At the highest level, there is the master who has expanded to the infinite level, zero self-centeredness, complete identification with the totality. So as far as you are concerned, you will neither be at the lowest level, you will neither be zero, nor will you be 100. You will be somewhere in between. So you can become aware of that and you can start using the sadhana properly to purify yourself. And as you do that, you will find that your identification will start expanding. That is an essential aspect of yajna. Whatever we are doing in this verse, here and there I've been giving many aspects of yajna. All these are going to be useful in learning further principles which are given in the next few verses. So you may have mastered the 4 Vedas, you may have studied the Bhagavad Gita, you may be a great scholar, but if your heart has not expanded, then you are not spiritual. There are many, many yogis who may not have such in-depth scholarly knowledge of the scriptures, but they are still yogis. They are great saints because their heart has expanded and become one with the infinite. So when Krishna talks about this world, you can feel his identification with the entire world. All the great masters had this. With so much of love, with so much of compassion, he's saying this whole world is bound by action. And with tremendous unconditional love, he is giving the solution. He says the yajna, the actions done for the sake of yajna, that will only liberate. That will not bind anyone. So tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Mukta sangha, give up attachment, become free of attachment and perform action for the sake of tat. Means that, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna. So a mere scholastic approach will only see the logic behind these verses. But if you're a deep sadhak, you will also be able to see the emotions behind these lines. And that makes a world of a difference. Logic is a tool to convey a message. But if there is no emotion backing it, then that message becomes so shallow in spite of it being so logical. Logic is like giving a person a birthday card, for example. Very great poetry you write. It's a great thing that you were born in the world. All this you write and you give that card to the person. But unless and until those words have come from your heart, unless there are it is backed, those words are backed by your emotions of love, it means nothing. It is just a card. If you have those emotions, you may not even give that card. You may not even wish. Yet the other person will receive. So when you are functioning in the world, find out, are you doing it with that love? Are you relating with people with that love and affection? Or are you relating with people at the surface level? Are you focusing too much merely on the external communication and leaving out the real communication, which is your emotion? When you're doing your sadhana every day, are you doing it externally, merely externally, superficially, mechanically? Or are you doing it with that bhavana? When you're attending every Sunday, are you just looking for more and more points intellectually? Oh, last week I had 5 points. Today, how many points is he going to give? Is it merely that? Or are you watching this with so much of bhavana, with so much of intention to improve yourself, to transform your life? It is the bhavana, it is the emotions which is the central criteria. All other things are meant to convey the emotions or put them in order and all that. But if this is not there, then the whole thing becomes very dry. If you approach it merely from a scholastic point of view, you will see Bhagavad Gita as merely a book. If you approach it with that depth, you will not see it as a mere book. It is actually a live conversation. It is a live manual for your life. It deals with the eternal principles of life. And the moment we use the word life, everything brightens up. So the same verse, you try to feel the emotion with which Lord Krishna has communicated, with so much of love, with so much of compassion. When you do that, what is interesting is you will get healed, because ultimately it is unconditional love which is the highest healing energy. And when you focus on other non-essentials, you miss the central core. The message, the direct message is something which you miss. So this world is bound by action, other than actions done for the sake of sacrifice. Become free, give up attachment, and perform action for that sake, O Kaunteya. Take it as your direct message. Feel that emotions, feel that love. See, when you absorb that, what will happen is your heart also will start expanding. See, whenever you admire some quality about someone, now you also start developing that quality. That is why it's very important to know, to choose whom you are idolizing. See, today people idolize anybody, just like that, just because they are good in one particular field. That doesn't mean they are necessarily good in all the aspects, but they just simply allow the mind to run, and they fanatically just start following. That is a very dangerous thing, because thereafter you get connected and you start acquiring that person's emotions. So in our yogic system, they said, identify with God, identify with the Guru, because God is nothing but unconditional love. And a Guru, a true master, is one who has also attuned himself to that infinite state. So he will also be radiating with that emotion. So when you identify, what happens is it's not the personality. Automatically you will start absorbing that deep emotion. And when you do that, the effect of that will be that your personality starts expanding. So don't listen to this merely with your intellect. Feel what is being said. Actually, it's a combination. Feeling and the intellect should go together. That is when you gain true wisdom. See, if you see the Bhagavad Gita, it is extremely logical. It will satisfy an intellectual. At the same time, it will also satisfy a devotional person. How can one text satisfy two extremes? That is the beauty of the yogic approach. A master is like a mirror. If you go and stand in front of a mirror, now the mirror will reflect you. Similarly, the master will completely satisfy anyone who comes to him sincerely, because he has become empty and he has become one with the infinite. So samachara means perform. I was telling you last week about the 3 dimensions of samacharanam. Samacharanam means, first direct meaning is perform, do. Then a little more depth we saw, proper conduct. And it's not just one time you conduct yourself properly. It's not like that. Keep on practicing, abhyasa. Practice makes a person perfect. Anybody who has mastered any skill, if you observe, that person would have practiced that skill tremendously. A great magician, when he was asked, whenever you learn a new trick, now when do you consider that you are ready to perform it on stage in front of others? He said, I keep on practicing it alone. And then I stand in front of the mirror and I keep practicing it. The day I myself get fooled when I am seeing in the mirror, that is the day I know that I have mastered this particular magic. Then only I perform it in front of others. It's very interesting how many hours of practice has gone behind one small act which these great artists come and do in front of people. If you have the depth, you will see that only. So in spirituality also, just the moment something is told, you try it for a few times and you say it's difficult, or oh, I'm finding it this, that. Don't say all that. Mastery over the mind requires very, very, very hard work, tremendous efforts in a consistent way. Only such people can become yogis. Now, very interestingly, when it is said proper conduct, that is right conduct, I'll just give you a few more things regarding that which will be very useful for your sadhana, and then we will proceed further. See, when we talk of right conduct, as I told you, some acharanam, it's acharana means conduct, but we are not talking of merely how you behave in front of others. That part of it I had explained last week. It is what you are intrinsically that really matters, not how you present yourself to others. That is also important for worldly success. But I am saying you should not assess your spiritual level based on your presentation. The quality of anything should be determined by its intrinsic value, not based on the presentation. Presentation is important to communicate, to convey a few things. That is different. Now, when we talk of proper conduct or right conduct, what do we mean by right? The first thing, there are three aspects which will be worthwhile to explore. That is, the first thing when we talk of something being right is the morality or ethics. So, whenever you do your activities, ensure that you're morally right, ethically right. That is dharma. And what is interesting is dharma will protect you. Whenever you're performing any activity, the ego will try to pull your mind away, and it will try to lure the mind into unrighteous methods. So, when your morality, when your ethics are intact, that will create tremendous positive energy within you. So, samacharanam has these aspects. When we just summarized it and said right conduct or proper conduct. But I'm giving you more subtle points. See, these things can be absorbed and practiced. You will find a lot of changes in yourself and in your life. See, when we talk of morality or ethics, again, that is a very dicey thing. For example, 100 years back, what was considered as morally wrong may not be considered as morally wrong now by society. So it's very difficult for you to say what is morally right, what is morally wrong. Certain countries, certain things are right. In certain other countries, certain things are wrong, considered as wrong. So essentially, there is nothing like right and wrong. So what determines? What is the criteria with which you determine whether something is right or wrong, morally, ethically? Number one, as long as you are acting according to your conscience, that action is right, ethically. Whenever you do something wrong, forget about others telling you, but your own conscience will clearly tell you that this is wrong. The problem is, we have lost the habit of listening to our own conscience. That is why Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." See, many people who do sadhana, what happens is when they do the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, a lot of guilt comes out. It is a good sign, which means whatever guilt you stored from within has come to the surface, so you need to release that. Now, why did the guilt come or get stored in the first place? Because you knew something was not right and yet you did it. You didn't stop yourself from doing it or thinking, whatever it is, whether it's action or thought or emotion. Result is you're left with guilt. After a while it gets covered. But when you do sadhana, all those things will start coming out. It may be that you were harsh with someone, you disregarded someone's emotions. Like one sadhak told me that when he did the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, there is a very interesting incident which is amazing actually, is that he suddenly remembered how he used to drink every day and how he used to behave. That was amazing because generally when you drink, you will lose your awareness. The consciousness actually comes down, your aura shrinks. But the sadhana, the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana is so powerful, and he was extremely devoted. See, a person who is devoted to the sacred sadhana of Yoga Sankirtan will definitely get the blessings of the Guru, the blessings of God, and he will be able to purify himself. So the amazing power of the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana was that it took the energy right up to that incident, that level, where when he was under the influence of an intoxicant, what did he do? Those memories were triggered within him. He said, I was able to see myself, what all I did when I was fully drunk. I was able to see myself like how we watch a movie. And then I had to tell him, now that awareness has come, release those memories from your system. Because those are the memories, those are the incidents which are completely, causing a lot of guilt within you. So release them. He did that. So whenever you follow your conscience, see, the same person That is what is interesting. He said, before the first time when I used to drink, I went to that incident, which was many years back, but in meditation automatically it came to him. When he went to that moment before he started drinking, he felt, I shouldn't do this. I'm going to lose myself. Why should I do this? But he didn't listen to that. Second time, third time, he got used to it. And he said, after a while, I stopped hearing my own conscience. My family members were complaining to me. My friends were complaining to me. I lost my job because of that. Everybody was complaining in the sense what? They were saying that, why are you doing like this? But I didn't listen to any of them because fundamentally I didn't listen to my own conscience. See, through the sadhana, the wisdom itself started coming out from within. So the same wisdom is there in everyone. So whatever level you are in, if you start following your conscience, if you align your actions with your conscience, then it becomes samacharanam. A guru externally will reflect your inner conscience only. When you are unable to hear your conscience, then your external guru will tell you. But what he is trying to do is trigger that inner conscience, because the Guru Shakti manifests externally as a master, but the same Guru Shakti manifests as a conscience from within. So that is number one. Right action means morally, ethically, following your conscience. Number two, proper conduct or right action means being technically right. What do we mean by being technically right? Whenever you perform any action, now the quality of the action depends upon your technical expertise. So you should look at whatever actions you're performing today, and you should go on improving the quality of those actions. How? By becoming more and more qualified. See, when I say qualified, I'm not talking of mere degrees here. That is just an external recognition. But whatever activities which you're doing, you should go on learning the subtler technical aspects pertaining to that action. You can do that only if you go into the specifics. People who just lead a generalized life will remain the same even after 30 years. A yogi is one who learns very fast and he is able to adapt to the changing trends. See, if Lord Krishna, just for argument's sake, were to be here today, he will not be talking this language which he spoke to Arjuna. That was according to that trend. Today, if we're going to talk to the people, he will study what the trend is and he will conform this wisdom, these principles to that trend. Any master will do that. How is a master able to adapt easily? Have you ever thought about it? Because he is constantly looking to learn and better his actions. It's a sadhana of samacharanam. So being a right action, proper action means being ethically right, ethically proper, then being technically proper. Whether it is cooking, whether it is sweeping the floor, whether it is doing some computer work, whether it is packing, anything which you do, there is a beautiful quality which we'll be learning later on, the 12th chapter, he gives 35 qualities of a bhakta. See, when we talk of a bhakta, a devotee, we generally think a devotee is one who keeps sitting and singing bhajans. That we restrict the definition or the very principle of devotion to certain activities. But what is interesting is Krishna does not talk about all that. He gives 35 qualities and he says a person who has these qualities is a bhakta. Like the very first quality says adveshta sarva bhutanam, means not hating anyone. Maitre means friendly with everyone. Like that he keeps on giving many qualities. One quality which he gives is dakshaha. Dakshaha means one who is street smart. Anything which you give that person will quickly learn and do it in a proper way. That is what is meant by dakshaha. Very well organized, fast learner. How is it that you can become a dakshaha? It is by practicing the sadhana of samacharanam. So, this is a very powerful word which he uses, samachara. Don't take it lightly. Don't pass by that. You absorb that energy and start applying it in your life. You will see wonderful results. So a dakshaha, he says, if you are not a dakshaha, you are not a bhakta, you are not a devotee. See, generally the idea of a devotee is a bhakta, a devotee means he can be easily fooled. That is a wrong concept which people have. No. A bhakta is one who is very dynamic, active, dakshaha, street smart. He will neither cheat others, nor will he allow others to cheat him. Anything which he takes up, he will do it wonderfully. Either he knows about it, so he'll do it. If he doesn't know, and if he's going to do that, he will keep learning and quickly he will start improving the quality of that action. If you're doing some activity in an imperfect way, and if you continue doing it in that same way over a period of time, then means you're just the opposite of dakshaha. You're not practicing that samacharanam. So, being morally, ethically right, that is acting according to your conscience. Number 2, being technically right. And number 3, samacharanam, proper conduct, means acting according to the context. Right action means acting in a right way according to the context. This is very important. In Tamil, there is a beautiful phrase, idam porul eval. Means you should act according to the place. You should act according to the situation. Most people act without any reference to what the situation is. Generally, the weakness of the mind is that it just has a unidimensional way of acting or feeling or thinking. So, a good sadhak is one who is fully alert. According to the situation, he will do the activities. Sometimes an activity may be intrinsically wonderful, but in a particular context it will not be suitable. For example, we say when you wake up in the morning, do your exercises on a daily basis. This is a wonderful habit. But let us say one day your near and dear one has fallen down, and that person has hurt himself or herself. So there is a fracture or something like that which has happened. Now, will you tell that person, see, this is my exercise time. I have to do the kriyas and all that every day. I've been consistently doing it. So wait for 1 hour. After that, we will go to the doctor. Let us say it's bleeding, Now, even there, if you continue to do your exercise, even though that is generally a right action, in that context, it is not right. So all these great principles of Sanatana Dharma have to be applied in your specific context. You'll have to see how to apply it in my context. That is your homework. That is Samacharanam. So if you observe, most people, they talk without any awareness, without seeing the context. They'll just say anything. They act without any context. Feeling, thinking, everything is done without the context. So right action means acting in the right way according to the context. Idam porul eval. So this is what is the sadhana of Samacharanam. When you act according to your conscience, when you align your personality to your conscience, then you can become guilt-free, number one. And when you're guilt-free, when you sleep in the night, you'll be able to sleep very peacefully. And a person who is able to sleep very peacefully, even when that person dies, that person will die very peacefully. Because there are no hang-ups, there are no guilt, there is no guilt. That is why the yogis laid a lot of importance on that. When you act in a correct way as far as technicality is concerned, that will enhance your growth, because you're constantly trying to improve yourself through those activities. You are never stagnant. So that very effort to improve something will keep elevating you spiritually. You will be elevated to higher levels of spiritual perfection. It is your intention, that bhavana, that matters. If you compromise, if you're okay with mediocrity, and if you just keep continuing doing the same thing in a mechanical way, now you will never grow. When you learn to act according to the context of the situation, your alertness will increase, your awareness will increase. 100% awareness is a state of sthita prajna. Prajna means awareness. Sthita prajna means one who is established in the highest state of awareness. So Lord Krishna was such a great master, but when he spoke to Arjuna, he spoke the language of a warrior. He didn't forget the context. Actually, it is Arjuna who forgot the context, because some of the questions which he was asking were irrelevant to that particular problem which he was facing. But Krishna, being the Supreme Master, he was able to bring back the focus to the context. So, if you practice all this, then you are practicing the principle of Samacharanam. You take it up as this week's homework. The three things which were given to you today. Already 3 things have been given to you, that is performing your duties properly, the proper conduct and practice, that is there. Now in that proper conduct itself, more depth has been given to you today. So how much am I aligned to my conscience? That is, how much of my personality is aligned to my conscience. And whenever you don't follow your conscience, but you have surrendered to your master, the master will give you the message from outside. It is very interesting. In case you miss something, the message will automatically reach you. Many a times you would have wondered, when you're attending these Sunday sessions, many points will be very specifically related to your situation, whatever situation you're facing in life. You may wonder, how is that? That's what I told you. The Guru Shakti functions in 2 ways. One is in many ways, but 2 main ways. One is as the external master, other is internal conscience. So in case you miss there, the message will come from outside. If you miss this also, then you will be in a little problem. You will have to face the knocks and shocks of life, and that will teach you. So you can take it up as homework. Similarly, what are the various actions I am performing today? How to do them better? Technically, how do I keep improving my expertise in whatever it is that I am doing? Conquer your tamas and put that effort. And then, of course, the third aspect of right action. Am I functioning according to the context of the situation, or am I just merely philosophizing without any reference to what the situation is? This is not merely the homework for this week, this is a homework for life. The more you introspect along these lines, the faster will be your growth. So give up attachment and perform action for the sake of that, for the sake of yajna. Oh Kaunteya. Kaunteya means Kunti Putra. See, when we started this verse, I mentioned about Kaunteya, how Krishna, with full love, he is addressing Arjuna as Kaunteya. I'm sure you remember that. Today, the very word, this world, when he's talking of the whole world, I had asked you to absorb that unconditional love which he has, which is more subtle actually. When it's directed towards one person, it's easy to grasp that. When it's directed towards the entire world, it becomes difficult to fathom the depth. That is why so many, I'm mentioning that after so many sessions. Now he is ending it with Kaunteya. He is addressing Arjuna as Kaunteya, which means Kunti Putra. He was a son of Kunti. So he is deliberately using the family name here. That is the name of Arjuna, which is related to his mother. What is the meaning of that? There are so many names now, and you will find in different verses he will use different names according to the context. This is what we were just now seeing, Samacharanam. No? This is a classic example of out of all the names of Arjuna, He has taken up Kaunteya and he is using it here. Why? Because Kaunteya means Kunti Putra, the son of Kunti. That very name Kaunteya actually defines the identification of Arjuna. So Arjuna's identification was very strong but restricted to his family. He was unable to think beyond his family. So now Krishna is talking about yajna. And one of the key aspects of yajna is to expand your identification. Therefore, he uses the word Kaunteya, that is, he calls Arjuna as Kaunteya, which is an indirect message. Your identification is stuck merely with your family now. Now it's time to start doing yajna. Means it is time to start expanding your identification. Because unless Arjuna's identification expands, he will not be able to perform his duty as a warrior there. If you see the first chapter, he was the one who asked Krishna to take the chariot between the two armies. That is a sign of a good warrior, because a warrior will want to see whom he is going to fight with. He wanted to just assess. But when the most interesting part is, he didn't see opponents or warriors there. Is that there Arjuna saw all his cousins, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, fathers-in-law, like the brothers-in-law. That's how it is described. He saw all the family relationships. He never saw any warrior there. That was a faulty vision. Limited vision, we can say. Now, Krishna's vision was different. See, Krishna and Arjuna were incidentally related to each other. They were cousins only. So, those who were standing in front of him is not only related to Arjuna, they were all related to Krishna also. But Krishna's identification was with the whole world. Even though they were his own relatives, they were all siding unrighteousness. So Arjuna was looking at this whole situation from a very limited perspective. Me, my family, that's all. Now Krishna was looking at the situation from a total perspective. What is good for the whole world? That was his motive. Now with a limited perception, Arjuna was unable to understand Krishna's motive. And that is why he told Krishna, how can you ask me to perform this Ghora karma, this terrible action? Isn't it sinful, Krishna? How can you ask me to do this? Why? Because he was judging Krishna from his limited vision. And as long as Arjuna is caught up with that vision, that his identification, it will be impossible for him to understand what Krishna is talking about. Krishna is talking about yajna. After another few verses, he'll be saying loka sangraha, the welfare of the whole loka, whole world. So in order to expand the identification, he is indicating to Arjuna that don't be merely a Kaunteya here. That's a starting point. But now you need to learn to expand. Your entire problem is because you have restricted your personality to your limited circle. You have restricted your mind, your identification now to a very small select few people. And you are unable to think beyond that. You are unable to feel beyond that. So you will have to rise, Arjuna. You will have to expand your identification. You will have to develop that unconditional love. You will have to perform yajna and keep on growing. Only then you will be able to progress spiritually. So it's a beautiful name, Kaunteya, the son of Kunti. Elsewhere he uses the same word Kaunteya in a different context. That is also very interesting. But in this particular context, he says Kunti Putra. See, there is also an inspiring tone there. I told you, at the lowest level, you're completely self-centered. It's only me, myself, that's all. I, me, myself. Now, Arjuna had developed from that level to the next level, which is being the son of Kunti. That is, he has started identifying with his family members. That is the first level of growth. So, if you have moved from level 0 to this level, now it means you have the capacity to do it. So use the same formula and start moving to further and further higher levels. How? By expanding your identification. So from merely I, me, myself to my family, then from a family to society, to my country, to the entire world, and then he'll take you to that level where he says the whole loka. Loka means it's not merely the earth alone. Entire universe, how many ever universes are there, that is a very advanced level. So by calling Arjuna Kaunteya, he is doing two things. Number one, he is saying, listen, this is your problem. Your identification is very limited. You're restricting yourself, you're restricting your love. And number two, he is also inspiring him. He says, you've come to this level, now you have the capacity to move further. So that is why when he talks of becoming free of attachment, Mukta Sangaha, he says, oh Kaunteya, don't get attached. Even though he says don't get attached, what as a sadhak you need to understand is, your attachments come from your identification only. Wherever you have identified, you will be attached there. When you identify with the infinite, then you will get attached to the infinite. That's why I told you, the word Sangaha is neither positive nor negative. When it is restrictive, it is negative. When the same attachment is directed towards the higher, now that starts freeing you from all the lower limitations. You attain that state of nirvana. So, Satsangaha, being attached to truth, that is what they propagated. So, oh Kaunteya, oh Kunti Putra, it's wonderful that you are the son of Kunti on one hand. It's great, you've identified with your family, but it is not okay if you have limited yourself there. If you get stuck there, then it is not okay. And when you identify with the whole world, what will happen to me, sir? You're also included. What will happen to my family, sir? Your family is also included. What will happen to my society, sir? Your society is also included. What will happen to my country, sir? Your country is also included. You will do all the duties to perfection. So it is not sacrifice in the sense of giving up any duties. Because yajna means sacrifice, no? You can take it in a negative way also. It is not giving up all these. It is only expanding and becoming all inclusive. When the masters said become detached, people took it as now drop your duties. No, detachment comes through unconditional love by expanding your consciousness, expanding your identification. So when you say 1, there is only one number, that is the number 1. When you say 2, the number 1 is also included in 2. When you say 3, 1 and 2 are included in 3. It's not leaving off 1 and 2 and then talking about 3. That is not how it is. So when Krishna says now expand your identification, it's not that you need to leave taking care of yourself, or it's not that you have to leave your family and then I'll work for the world. That's not correct. Your home needs to become the center of your love. It should not become a boundary of your love. That is what is the great message which is being given here. And we are talking of that internal identification. As I told you, duties may be there. For example, you have a duty towards your children. You have to take care of certain actions and all that. But why should you restrict your identification and love? Your love can be spread to all the children in the world. Your love can be spread to everyone. What prevents you from doing that? It is your own ego. So even when he uses when he calls Arjuna by a particular name, there is a purpose there. It is always according to the context of that verse. So Krishna is established in this practice of samacharanam. He doesn't need to consciously practice it and all that. He is fully established in that. Anything which he does will always be according to the context of the situation. It will never be out of context. So that is the beauty. So this world is bound by action other than actions done for the sake of sacrifice. Give up attachment and perform action for the sake of that. Oh, Kaunteya, means it is a message to you, direct message. So according to your identification, you are defined today. So start from there and keep on moving up further. Okay, so now we will go to the next verse, verse number 10. Saha yajna praja srishtva
Sahayajna praja srishtva
purovacha prajapatihi
Purovacha prajapatihi
anena prasavishyadvam
Anena prasavishyadvam
Yeshavostvishta kamadhuk
Yeshavostvishta kamadhuk
Sahayajna praja srishtva. Srishtva means having created. Praja, people. So having created people along with yajna, the sacrifice, along with the principle of sacrifice, saha yajna. Saha means along with. So having created people along with yajna, purovacha prajapatihi. Uvacha means said. Like we've seen, no? Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said. Sri Bhagavan uvacha, Bhagavan said. We've been seeing that. Similarly, uvacha, who is talking? Prajapatihi. Prajapatihi means the Lord of creation. See, this is a beautiful dramatization of how the Creator created the world and how yajna was also created parallelly. Along with that, only creation was possible. That's what he's saying here. So the dramatization is done here, almost like a story he's giving, But we will be getting into the depth of it so that we understand what the deeper principles of that incident is. So, Purovacha. Pura means formally, initially. So, when the creation happened, when the Creator actually created people, along with the principle of sacrifice, so having created people along with the principle of sacrifice, the Lord of creation, Uvacha, said. So, what did the Lord say? Anena prasavish yadvam. By this may you propagate. Prasavishyadvam means progress, propagate. I am only translating now. We'll anyway be getting into the depth of it. It's an amazing verse. By this means, what is he referring to? To yajna, the principle of sacrifice. So by this may you propagate. Esha vostvishta kamaduk. Esha, this. Vaha means of you. Astu means let it be. Ishta kamaduk means fulfiller of desires. So let this be the fulfiller of your desires. That is, Kama Duk means it's a reference to Kama Dhenu. Kama Dhenu is supposed to be the divine mystical cow, which is a fulfiller of all your desires. Any desire you have, the cow can fulfill it. It's a heavenly cow. So when you hear that, immediately it will come to your mind, sir, where can I find the cow? He's giving you the answer. You don't need to take it literally. He says, the principle of yajna is Kamadhenu. See, I told you, no, all these Puranas are, impregnated with so much of principles, that deeper principles. The higher principles of life were given directly in the Vedas, but not everyone can grasp it. Then it was given in the form of Puranas. So when you read all the stories, there will be certain non-essential things also to beautify. Because the incidents, if it's put in a plain way, it will be boring. But you have to wade through all that and get the key principles. So this is a classic example of that. The Puranas, it is mentioned about Kamadhenu. Now, if I mentioned to you about Vishwamitra and Vasishta, no? Sage Vasishta had this Kamadhenu. It is all said, there. And actually, Vishwamitra, when he was a king, he was called Kaushika. He picked up a quarrel with Vasishta because he wanted that cow for certain selfish purposes. But Vasishta refused, and that's how the quarrel came, and Kaushika was defeated. He went and did tapas and he became the great sage Vishwamitra. So, what is that Kamadhenu? You may have heard that name so many times. Now here he is clearly giving you the meaning of Kamadhenu. Kamadhenu, Kama means desires, legitimate desires here. So Kamadhenu means fulfiller of your desires, the wish fulfilling cow. What is that? It is yajna. So having created people along with the principle of sacrifice, yajna, the Lord of creation, Prajapati, he said, by this may you propagate. Let this be the wish fulfilling cow of your desires. whatever it is that you desire, if you apply the principle of yajna, that will be fulfilled, he says. Now, when we go into this verse, and when those principles are explained, what are those facets of yajna? I told you, in each verse, he'll be giving you a few facets of yajna, few dimensions. So in the previous verse, it was given in a more general way, as we saw many dimensions. Now in this verse, he will be giving a few more dimensions of yajna, which will be extremely interesting and useful to you in your life. Because when we talk of yajna, sacrifice and all that, what is the first question that will come to anyone's mind? Okay, if I keep sacrificing, then what will happen to me? Who will take care of me? I have so many desires. What will happen to my desires? He is straight away addressing that in this verse. That's what I'm saying. He is always talking to the context. Having given those messages in verse 9, Lord Krishna very well knows. When he says perform yajna, immediately this question will come in the mind. If I function in a spirit of service and sacrifice, now what will happen to me and who will fulfill my desires? He is addressing that. This is samacharanam, speaking to the context. He is addressing the question which every sadhak will get at this point of time. What will happen to me if I keep thinking about others? This is a very common question which comes into your mind. You may not express it because you may think, if I say that, then will I portray myself as being selfish and all that. Now, Krishna does not look at it in a judgmental way. This is what will come in your mind. Now, he is addressing that. What will happen to you? He says, if you understand certain dimensions of yajna and if you practice them, now that will become the wish-fulfilling cow of your desires. It's a science of materialization, actually. We will be getting into the depth of it up to a certain extent. But this, in the future, we will see it in more depth in certain empowerment courses, where the science of materialization also will be taught to you. See, you have to carefully master this. If the full wisdom of the science of materialization is taught, now you may start materializing negative things also. That is why this part of this wisdom, not only this part, many other facets were always kept as secrets and very, very carefully administered to the students. But we will be seeing it to a good extent, to whatever extent you will not misuse, or you can use it for the betterment of yourself and for society. That we'll be seeing. But the full energy and all that will be covered in future empowerment courses. So these questions are there. What about my desires? How can I fulfill my desires? Number one. How can I accomplish my goals? And all the time this is said, no, you are the creator of your life. How can I create my life? All these questions will be answered in this verse. And what is very interesting is, here he's talking about fulfilling your worldly desires. That is the starting point. In the next verse, he will build on this and he will say, as you're fulfilling your desires, how can you keep growing and reach the infinite? That also he'll be giving. So it's a step-by-step exposition of this supreme sacred wisdom. If you follow this carefully, you cannot miss the deeper messages which are being given. So, having created people along with the principle of sacrifice, saha yajnaha praja srishtva prajapati, he spoke. So whenever these kinds of dramatization are there, now that is usually done to make the principles more interesting. See, the great yogis always made this wisdom very interesting to their students. So this is one way. So we will be we will see the dramatization also, but we are not going to focus so much on that. We'll be getting into the deeper messages. Okay, so today we'll stop with that. I just wanted to start this verse. In the coming sessions, we'll go into the different parts of this verse and you will be amazed. It'll exactly talk about the solution to so many problems you're having. Because everything, if you understand the deeper messages of this verse, you will understand that everything is created by you only. And you have the power to change it. That is the beauty. Okay, we'll see all that in the coming sessions. Now we'll do Nididhyasana, meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am going into a state of deep relaxation. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. Beyond my physical body, beyond my pranas, beyond my emotions and thoughts, beyond my karmas lies my essential self. My higher self is infinite in nature. From this moment onwards, I choose to align my entire personality with my conscience. I choose to keep improving my expertise in action. I choose to always act according to the context. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. It's a very deep session we had. We got into the subtler aspects of sadhana. So when you are learning all this, pick up those things which inspire you most and put them into practice. To remember every little thing which is being told here all the time, and you don't need to take that pressure. Whatever it is that inspires you most, take that up and start practicing. So an exposure is given to this wisdom in its entirety, all the points. That also is done because it's important for you to receive the energy. But as far as your practice goes, pick up those things which inspire you directly and start practicing them. Don't worry about the other points. They will also come automatically. Okay? So I'll see you in the next session. We'll be going into more depth. Thank you very much. Hari Om.